question. What does thriving mean to you?
Thriving means living and loving your life in all areas of your life and being true to who you are. You know, the more that you are living your authentic life, the more that you are being true to who you are.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Karen, for joining us today and completing the answers to thriving questions. And this is really exciting because it's my first ever time that we've done this on a video interview instead of the written content. So thank you for being the first person.
My pleasure. And how good do we look?
Amazing. I love your setup there. It's so natural. And you've got great lighting.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to give a little introduction to our audience. Karen is a business owner, beyond loss mentor, and international keynote speaker. She is the author of 8 books, incredible, numerous ebooks, as well as an online TV show host and podcast. So you're very used to this environment. In your corporate career, Karen was a chief financial officer of a publicly listed and a senior manager for more than 25 years. In July 2011, Karen's life changed forever and led her on a new path to becoming a beyond loss expert and co-founding your business that it is today. We're going to talk about that, and I want you to reveal that later. Being a very goal-driven community, and as you having a successful career and now business, what can you give us any recommendations for some great inspiring books?
My God, I have so many. We'll do the whole podcast on what I can recommend to read. I love to read a whole lot of different stuff. So if you want to go into business development, great habits, you can never go any further than Brendon Burchard. Like, he has these amazing habits and he is all about helping you to live your best life. Love Brendon Burchard. Books, I download books all the time. One that actually came to me, actually from a common friend of ours, beautiful Charm Murphy. Hello, Charm. I know you're watching. And it is actually called, it came from Stuart Pearce. Let me look up my little Kindle. Diana, the Voice of Change. Amazing book. And Stuart Pearce, worked with Princess Diana for a couple of years before she passed to help her to develop her unique voice. And the book actually guides you through lessons on how you can develop your signature note. Isn't that amazing? You have your own signature note. So when you tap into your heart and do these exercises in the book, you actually develop your own unique sound and you automatically connect more to people because you're speaking through your heart. And it is that, I reckon everyone should read that, definitely.
What fear have you had to overcome to get your business to where it is today?
Oh, a lot. I'm an accountant. Right? Accountants don't like marketing. We don't like sales. We don't like marketing. And when you have your own business, if you don't sell, you don't do sales and you don't do marketing, you don't have a business. So that was a real big thing for me. I've always embraced technology. Like, I was blessed to work at Dreamworld in the early 90s when computers came in and Excel and all that sort of stuff. And we were given that training very, very early on. So I've always been curious about technology. I've never feared technology. And I must admit, I don't understand people who say, business people who say, oh, I don't like technology. You go, well, just learn it. It's not that hard. We didn't all know how to drive a car at one stage and we just learnt it, right? It's not that hard. It's just learn it. So technology is good. I love writing. And now that was another thing that I had to overcome. Sure, I went to university and I could write business reports and I could do all that sort of stuff. But I didn't know I could write. And I knew I had at least one book in me. And I actually went and saw a school friend, before I wrote my first book. And I told her I was going to write a book. And she said, "You're going to write a book? You were crap at English at school. You were always good at maths." And I went, yeah, I understand that, but that was like 40 years ago. Like, seriously, we can write a book. And she goes, well, I can write a book. And anyway, I said, we both can write a book, you know, sort of thing. But anyway, so writing was one of the great things that I really did. And public speaking. I love speaking. You know, in my corporate role, I used to look at the CEO and I used to go, wow, I couldn't do that. Sure, I can present, you know, the financials and things like that. But when I actually have something passionate to talk about, I come alive on stage and I love it. And I thought, that's the difference. I wasn't passionate about sharing the numbers. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, sure, you got to do it in stages and stuff like that. But to actually learn and practice a speech and then deliver it and know that you're helping someone else by sharing that story, that's what I love more than anything else. And that's something that I believe everyone has a story, you know, whether they share it through their voice or through their writing. It's really important for everyone to know that even if you just help one person with you sharing that story and giving them the courage to do something else, that's what I believe life is all about. And I believe that's what we're all here for. We're in the information age, and to be able to share so easily to so many people all over the world, you've really got to like just go, wow, I'm so glad I decided to be alive at this time.
What was your defining moment? So you were CFO in this company, and
Yep.
what happened to you to make this huge transition in your life?
Yeah, well, I now refer to those days as me living in a Groundhog Day days, because every day was the same and I was not using great sort of coping mechanisms to get through my life. And if anyone had said to me at that time, how do you cope with stress? I would have said, I never get stressed. You know, and from the outside, I looked really successful. You know, I had the career, the job, the salary, house, car, overseas trips, all of those things that, you know, some people can define as success. And I thought I was successful. Though, unfortunately, my husband and I woke up on the 10th of July, 2011, thinking we were having a lazy Sunday at home. Though within minutes, we thought that our youngest son, Dan, by a minute, had fallen asleep at the back door when he'd gone out the night before by himself. Him and his girlfriend had gone out separately. And unfortunately, within, 10 minutes, the ambulance arrived and they announced that he was dead and probably had been for several hours. So as you can imagine, that was the last thing we expected. We thought a healthy 27-year-old had gone out the night before. And at the time, I just carried on. I just carried on as normal. I did everything that I now tell people not to do. I went straight back to work after the funeral, eating more, drinking more, working even harder, just squashing all of my emotions down to just carry on with life. And now, nearly 9 years later, and I realised this a lot earlier, I realised that Dan was never meant to wake up that day. I was meant to wake up that day. And because I didn't, the universe had to send me another slap in the face to try and wake me up out of these Groundhog Day days, which I was firmly, entrenched in. And, in hindsight, so were all of my colleagues. They were all the same as me. They were all just going through the grind of each day and not really coping with the stress of it all. And, we were, working these ridiculous hours and always on alert, because the company that I worked for was a publicly listed company, but we were debt stricken. So it wasn't an easy road as the CFO. So what happened was the company I was working for ended up merging with another, and in that merger process, they had said to me that I wouldn't be the CFO in the new company. but I'd be doing everything I'm doing now, plus more. And I just went, yeah, fine, you know, typical. Until they added about a couple of months later, oh, by the way, Karen, you'll be doing it for 2/3 of your current salary. And initially I was so angry, like, how dare they? How dare they treat me like this? And I was also at an age where I actually went, I am sick and tired of working, you know, really, really hard, other people getting the credit for me. And I knew that if I had taken that job, that would happen again, because I wouldn't have been, you know, like the senior financial person. And I just thought, I'm over people taking credit for my work. But I really quickly realised that, you know what, as much as I love my job, I'm only there for the money. And that was the greatest realisation that I had, because not only did I realise that, which I hadn't before, I also realised I was wasting a lot of that money just to, you know, survive. I certainly wasn't thriving. So it was really easy for me to say, no, I'm taking redundancy. And to their shock, because they really thought that you know, yeah, she'll carry on, all this sort of stuff. But I also had a realisation that if I sat there in that role, it would have eaten me from the inside out. You know, I would have been in resentment. I would not have been my positive, normal self. So they gave me the greatest gift that you can give to anyone, because not only did they give me back and wake me up, they gave me back my life and they gave me back my health, because I started to realise that I wasn't living and loving my life. I was, you know, entrenched in this job. All my relationships were, you know, pretty average compared to what they are now. They were even below average, if I'm honest with myself. But I never realised it. I never realised how angry I was. And I, you know, a few years ago now, I was on this site, FMTV, with Food Matters TV, and they had a video on there and they were talking about how important it is to get green back into your life. And probably for about 4 or 5 years now, I have a green juice every morning. And, you know, you know, and I love it because it really does lift me up, and it's a great way to go. And on this site, they actually said that if you're always angry, you require more green in your life. And I went, wow, you know, that was me. I didn't have a lot of green when I was in that job, and I was always angry and I'd fly off the handle over nothing. But then I took it one step further, because I thought, oh my God, green is the colour of the heart chakra. And I required more love in my life, not only for others, but for myself. And that to me was, I wasn't living and loving my life. And, you know, along my journey, I also realised that we're the only person we're going to spend our entire life with. So why are we giving up on ourselves and putting ourselves last and not living and loving our lives? So that is, you know, as I said, they gave me the greatest gift, because I probably wouldn't even be alive now if I'd stayed in that job. Who knows? I'm pretty sure I was headed for a heart attack or a stroke or type 2 diabetes, whereas now I'm so healthy. If I was heading that way, I'm pretty sure my green juicing has reversed it. It's amazing. I just love it.
Well, I definitely love the energy that you give off now. It's incredible and infectious. And I can, definitely relate to that. It's incredible how when we feel we're working really hard and we actually feel really resilient, but what we're doing is dumbing down those feelings and actually coming out of that where you are more in touch and you know what your body needs, and you almost feel more sensitive, but it's in a good way, because you now know and can respond correctly to make sure those energy levels are staying, and health and well-being. So thank you so much for sharing that incredible story.
Yeah, oh no, my pleasure, because it really is important for us to just know that our body tells us everything, but because we're so wrapped up in something else, we're not listening to our body at all. And it's, you know, I just love the fact that I can share this knowledge. I wish I had it at a younger age, but that's okay. At least it came. That's what I love.
Yeah. When people, I know when I first heard it, you feel like it is a negative thing, but as you say, there are so many different forms of loss, and if we can knowing that there's resources like yourself out there to help overcome them is really special. So thank you for sharing your gift with the Thrivers community, Karen.
Oh, thank you, Julia. I love chatting with you, and as you've said throughout it, I could talk to you all day too.
Oh, thank you.